Hello, Tar Heel Nation. Welcome to another episode of UNC Hoops Talk. This is the podcast for the fans by a fan. I am Dan DeWitt, your host, coming to you from the headquarters of UNC Hoops Talk here in Tennessee. Unfortunately, missed out on Media Day yesterday, but we're going to catch you up on all the news that is Tar Heels basketball, UNC Hoops, and this is the predictions episode. So the last part of the podcast, I am going through, game by game to give you my win-loss for each game. But I think this year I'm going to go a little bit quicker because I think there's so many games that we should just kind of easily win. And so we're not going to spend a ton of time on each game like I have in past years. But I will give you my overall record and plus predictions for each game as we go through the schedule. And also, I've sent out on Twitter notification or a tweet getting people's predictions. So I'm going to put those in here as well. And as you're listening to this, if you want to shoot me yours, I would love to hear that as well. If you have not connected with me, please do so. There are so many places that you can do it on Twitter, Snapchat, Periscope, Vine. So many places that I'd love for you to just connect and to talk UNC Hoops at any point and any college sports, really. But I am so glad that you're here listening to me. I don't want to spend any more time with all that junk. I want to jump right in. We got a lot of news. First, to just kind of hit on, not a lot of chatting, and then we'll get into the schedule as well. Just so excited. Basketball, I mean, it is so close. We've had some people's Midnight Madness already. We're about a week and a half away from Late Night with Roy, as this would be being recorded on Tuesday, October 13th, I believe it is today. So we had Media Day yesterday on Monday the 12th, and it's going to be such a fun season. We just need to be ready to go along with the ride with our boys and be so supportive of them this year. So I hope you're ready. Let's jump right in. I am going to start with Media Day. Roy had a press conference yesterday. If you haven't seen it, you can go to the blog, unchoopstalk.blogspot.com, and I have a link to the video there along with some other videos of player interviews and a video of, excuse me, of Marcus going through his first week of practice. And it's a pretty sweet video. So definitely check it out. Good behind the scenes stuff. But Media came out. Roy had his press conference, as I said. Some stuff that at least I was not aware of. I don't know if you were. I hadn't seen anywhere else. And some other just kind of updates. So that we're just going to hit on those a little bit as far as Media Day goes. And I know that I had, sorry, this is a little bit off topic, but I know I'd mentioned, sorry, losing my train of thought here. I had mentioned doing periscopes before game, halftime of games, and then doing a kind of post-game show on blab.im. And wanted people to join in, to give their input and all that stuff. And so I'm actually recording this podcast using Blab and, testing it out and all that good stuff. So if the quality is different, let me know. I'll see what I can do, any of that. But I think we should be good to go. And if you haven't been on Blab yet, check it out, follow me there. And I really want to do post-game shows after each game on Blab where Tar Heel fans can come in and we can talk the game for 20 minutes or whatever and look at what's coming ahead. But back on topic, Media Day happened yesterday. Coach Williams updated on Theo. He has not been cleared to do full court stuff yet, I believe. They're saying any day, or even yesterday he may have done full court drills for the first time, but he didn't play any pickup all summer. Hasn't had any setbacks, but just starting to get into full court drills before he can even get into playing 5-on-5 and that kind of stuff. Excuse me. Update on Marcus Page after his surgery. Man, he is not feeling any pain. Marcus is 100% feeling good, so that's great news going into the season. And then one thing we kind of didn't know about is Kennedy Meeks had tweaked his knee in practice. Said he would be out just for 3 days or so. And I'm not sure if that counted yesterday, if it's 3 more days after yesterday, but he'll be good to go by the beginning of the season. Shouldn't be any worries, but hopefully we're getting all of our injury bugs kind of out and taken care of before the season. And we don't need to worry about any of that stuff during the season or as we saw in 2012 in the tournament. So cross your fingers, knock on wood, whatever you need to do. But hopefully the injury bug doesn't hurt us any more than just kind of preseason. There was talk a lot yesterday. I don't know if there was any from Coach Williams, but just amongst the players that they hadn't done any 3-point guard lineups, but they kind of figured that they would at some point. So far, they've been just focusing on half-court offense, half-court defense, and then the full-court offense getting on the break. We know that's a big thing for Roy. But yeah, especially with Theo out, Nate and Joel Berry both talked about, the 3-guard lineup and also playing along just Page and putting him more at the shooting guard. So we'll see. And, they obviously mentioned Kenny Williams' ability to shoot from outside, but I don't think we're going to be able to just rely on him for sure. I think Jackson's shot will be better. Joel's should be, even Theo. But yeah, we definitely can't just rely on Page and then, Kenny Williams, whatever minutes he gets to take care of all the outside scoring. So, again, Kennedy will be fine. He'll be back. Just looking through the notes here on Media Day, see if there's anything else I kind of missed. I think that's pretty much it. I guess the only other thing would be Coach Williams seemed really excited about this year. And, obviously coaches are sometimes, coach speak and they don't give you really how they're feeling. But 2009, Roy kind of came out and said, hey, I feel we have the best team. We should win it unless I mess it up, kind of, putting all the pressure on himself. But he came out and said, I don't mind being number one. And he kind of has that vibe, or at least he did yesterday. Not saying that they should be number one, they're the best team in the country, but saying they're one of the best, and just kind of had that swagger. And it's so good to see Roy with that. I'm sure he's happy to be just talking about basketball as well. It's just great to have that. And as fans too, to have a season like this where we're, for sure Final Four contenders, national championship contenders, just exciting, and especially with the NCAA investigation still looming over us. We don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of years with either probation or any bans or anything like that, or even recruiting limits, taking away scholarships. So we really need to just focus on this year. Don't be looking too far ahead and just enjoy this ride. That's my goal for this year. That's pretty much all that came out of Media Day. For any updates, recruiting updates, I did a Periscope and it's up on YouTube. I think I even put it up in the iTunes feed and Stitcher feeds. But a Periscope on Brandon Robinson committing, the shooting guard, top 50 player, good get for us, good shooter, good length at 6'5". So that class of 2016, again, starting to take form. We got Tony. Mentioned that on the last podcast, Tony Bradley, and now we got Brandon Robinson. And then in the Periscope, I also kind of asked who's next, and kind of the unanimous or opinion has been either this Lori, hopefully I'm saying that name right, and I'm going to try the last name, out of Finland, whose dad played for Roy at Kansas. He's actually on his official visit in North Carolina today and tomorrow. He visited Utah over the weekend. I believe there's one other school he's visiting while he's in the States, but I think it's him and his dad visiting 3 schools. We're at North Carolina right now. A lot of people think we have a good chance with him. It's been a while since North Carolina's had a European player. And then the other person people are thinking is possibly Seventh Woods, who just came off of his South Carolina visit. And it's pretty much down to South Carolina, North Carolina. From South Carolina, I just can't imagine a kid with that less than going to play for Frank Martin over getting out on the floor and in the style that North Carolina plays. Obviously, again, the investigation has something to do with that. But experts, I'll do air quotes there, experts are saying he should decide the next few days, according to, I think, his high school coach. So he may be the next commit we get, Seventh Woods out of South Carolina, or otherwise this Finnish guy, Laurie, if that's how you pronounce it. But that may be the majority or what we get for the class of 2016 that would contribute right away or fairly soon. Obviously, Harry Giles is still out there, and we're still in the mix for him. I don't see him coming. I think he's going to Duke. But we'll see. We'll see. Let Roy do his magic. But that's the recruiting stuff we got going on. And then I was just going to, before we get into the predictions, just kind of quickly hit on other kind of garbage going on in college basketball. If you follow college sports at all, you know there's a lot of stuff going on in college football with Southern California coach and now Spurrier retiring from South Carolina and the Florida quarterback. But we're not going to do that. This is a Hoops podcast. If we're going to talk football, it's going to be North Carolina football, who's on the upward swing anyway. But just the other garbage in college basketball, we have SMU with the postseason ban. Larry Brown suspended for the first 9 games of the season. And yeah, if you don't know the situation there, it's a former, I believe now former assistant doing the work for a 5-star recruit. He came in, didn't have enough credits or something, needed an online course, and the kid wasn't even aware that assistant coach kind of took care of all of it, did the work for him, which is of course not legal. And Larry Brown kind of taking the fall for that. A lot of people thinking this will be kind of the end for him, but only a 9-game ban or suspension for him right now. We'll see what kind of comes from that. And then also, if you've been living under a rock, all the Louisville stuff that is happening with the whole book and former assistant there hiring out dance shows and sex for recruits and players and even family members of recruits. I could go almost do a whole podcast just on that, how crazy that is and why that's even necessary. I don't know. We're not going to get into all that, just kind of making aware. Nothing has obviously happened yet, just kind of came out. NCAA is investigating it. Louisville is kind of on the move of trying to take care of all that beforehand. A lot of press conferences and stuff about, Rick Pitino not knowing about it or whatever. But seen a lot of, I haven't read the book, seen a lot of excerpts about it. It doesn't look good. There's a lot of pictures out there. And I'll just say it doesn't surprise me about Montrezl Harrell. But that's a whole other story. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole here on UNC Hoops Talk. We're going to jump in and go into predictions. So I'm going to, of course, give mine first. I'm going to go through pretty much game by game, although there'll be a lot of chunked together. I don't know. I went through the schedule, and I don't know if I'm way too optimistic or what, but I mean, I'm really excited after going through the schedule and the amount of games we're going to win this year. I mean, it's just going to be fun. So hopefully I'm right because, I was quite optimistic, and it kind of scares me to do that. I try to be pretty even kill, try to give us a game where we're going to slip up here and there and stuff. And it was hard to find this year. I think, we're going to win most of the games. But Yeah, we'll go through that, and then we'll get into submitted predictions from people from well, I don't want to say you guys because I'm one of you guys. I am a fan, but yeah, we'll get into that stuff. So, we got Late Night with Roy coming up. Well, 2 Fridays from now here, October 23rd, Late Night with Roy, and then November 6th we have an exhibition with Guilford. Didn't really count that, of course, and the season officially begins Friday, November 13th with the Veterans Classic. We play Temple in Annapolis, Maryland. Yeah, like I said before, we were going through schedule or announcing the schedule stuff. It's on CBS Network, so I don't even CBS Sports Network. So I don't even know how I'm going to watch that game yet, but we're going to have to make it happen. Can't miss the first game, but and then we go. Our home opener is Sunday, November 15th with Fairfield, and then we go Wofford. We go to Northern Iowa for Marcus's homecoming, and then we're in the CBE Hall of Fame Classic. We play Northwestern, and then we play either Kansas State or Missouri the following day. That's the week of Thanksgiving, Monday and Tuesday of Thanksgiving. And I have us winning all those, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on all those. I guess K-State could be good or whatever, but we don't even know who we're going to play in that game. I just know we're going to beat whoever it is there. And then a really big matchup. Maybe I didn't think about this one long enough or whatever, but we play Maryland in the ACC Big Ten Challenge on Tuesday, December 1st. Kind of the marquee matchup of the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Both going to be at least preseason top 5 teams. We'll see if anything happens before we match up. But yeah, going to be a big time matchup. Obviously, former ACC foes in Maryland coming in, and maybe that I think that's part of it is that it's in Chapel Hill for me. But I just think we're going to win that game. They got a younger, very talented point guard in Tremble, but younger guy. I think he's a sophomore, and I just didn't really have any problems saying that we were going to win that game. So, of course, that could be one. We could lose or whatever, but yeah, with our veteran group, if we're going to do something in the tournament, that's a game we got to kind of prove it. So I have us winning that game. Then we play Davidson, in-state. It's at home, but it is an in-state guy. They always have people that have wanted to go to North Carolina and kind of go off, but we're going to beat Davidson, no problem. Not even sure if they're going to be as good as they kind of usually are. Then we go to Texas, which I am glad it's in Texas this year. And that was one thing going through the schedule this year. We didn't have kind of a streak of a bunch of road games. It seems like in past years we had 5 road games in a row or something like that. We don't really have that stretch. And not even very many tough road games, especially outside of the ACC. So it's, Shaka Smart's first year at Texas. Doesn't have all his players there. He's going to have a system in, but yeah, again, we're a veteran group. We got to be able to handle, the press and the style that Shaka is going to have, the havoc defense. We're going to win that game. Then we got Tulane at home. We're going to win that game. We got the CBS Sports Classic. We play UCLA in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, Saturday, December 19th. I don't think UCLA is going to be as good this year. They may be all right in the Pac-10. They'll probably make the tournament. So, again, it should look like a good win for us, but we're going to win. We're going to beat UCLA. They're not going to be as good this year. And then we got 4 home games in a row. Appalachian State, UNC Greensboro, Clemson, Georgia Tech to start the ACC. Obviously, we're going to beat Appalachian State. We're going to beat Wes Miller and UNC Greensboro. He would probably even tell you that. And then we open with Clemson. Clemson, this game is one I did put a question mark. If we go undefeated, like I predicted here in the non-conference schedule, Clemson comes in. We know the streak is on the line. I think it's at 50, maybe 51 straight times we beat Clemson in the Dean's. I think it's in the Dean Smith Center. Maybe it's just overall. I'm trying to think if we would have played them that many times. I don't think we would have played them that many times in the Smith Center, but they've never beat us at our place. And obviously they're going to want that one pretty bad. Now, normally I would just say we're going to beat Clemson. But that is one I put a question mark by. I did predict it as a win, but that's one to kind of watch out for, starting the ACC. And we've had it a few years with Roy where we've started 0-2, 0-3 in the ACC, and we always seem to bounce back and be there. But we for whatever reason don't seem to always start the ACC play off very strongly. So put a question mark by it. Of course, I did pick us to win. We should beat Clemson if we just go talent by talent. Georgia Tech isn't going to be very good this year. We're going to beat them. Then our first road game in the ACC is at Florida State. They always give us a tough time in their place. But again, we should beat them, should take care of business. Then we go to Syracuse. We are to January 9 now. Jim Boeheim, if you remember, is suspended for the first 9 ACC games, not the first 9 games of the season, but the first 9 ACC games. So he will still be out then. Again, we should beat them. Shouldn't be a problem. Then we got NC State at home, Wake Forest at home. Obviously, NC State being a rival, but I have them both as W's. We'll see. I didn't even put question marks by those. Then we go to Virginia Tech. Shouldn't be a problem. Boston College at home. And then we have 3 road games. And this is our biggest kind of stretch away from home. We go to Louisville on a Monday, to Notre Dame on a Saturday, and then to Boston College on a Tuesday. Normally, I would kind of take that third game of the road games of maybe one we would trip up on. Again, I haven't predicted any losses yet up to this point. Louisville's going through all that crud. They lost Harold. They lost their guards there, and they're not going to be as good this year. A lot of people have been saying that they should self-impose a postseason ban, kind of like Syracuse did last year, because they're not going to be as good. But yeah, again, that's getting off topic. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But I actually put a question mark by, and then I put it a loss by the Notre Dame game, going to South Bend. And so, yeah, first loss of the year. Again, should we beat Notre Dame? Yes, even though it's in Notre Dame, we should. But we know they're probably going to lose somewhere. I mean, even Kentucky last year went undefeated in the season, didn't end up winning it all. So it's better to lose during the regular season anyway, right? So we got to pick a game. So I picked this Notre Dame game. We are tripping up and we lost. We lose at Notre Dame. Got to have it somewhere. So we're going to beat Boston College, even though it's in at Boston College. And then we go Pitt, Duke, and Miami all at home. Pittsburgh and Miami shouldn't really be a problem. The Duke one, of course, we know is going to be a huge one. It's at home. They got the freshmen. We got the veteran guys. So I picked us to win that one. Again, maybe I didn't think about it too much or enough. I don't know. But I just think we can beat them, and we should beat them, and we need to beat them. And then we go to NC State, even though it's at their place. And maybe again, coming off a big Duke win and then a Miami win, maybe that's one we do get tripped up on. But I have us beating NC State even at their place. And now I'm kind of rethinking Virginia. We go to Virginia Saturday, February 27th. And I don't know if I just kind of glanced over this or what, but Virginia's still going to be pretty good this year. They have the ACC preseason player of the year in Brogdon. And they definitely could be pretty good. So I don't know how I kind of missed that, but I have us winning it. But now as I'm going through it, I'm kind of questioning it and whether, and I think I'm going to change that to a loss. So if we lose to Virginia there, then we play Syracuse at home. Boeheim will be back for that one, but again, we should beat Syracuse, and especially at home. And then, of course, we always end with Duke, and we are at Duke for their senior night, although I think Plumlee is the only senior they have. No, that's not true. Is Jefferson? I don't know. We don't care about Duke. But I actually picked us to win. I put a question mark by it because it is at Duke. But I think our veteran guys, I don't think they've won at Duke. Marcus and Bryce and Joel and even the juniors. any of it. I don't know when the last time we won at Duke. It's been a couple of years. So I think they got the pride. They're going to want to go in, especially if we do lose to Virginia just 2 games previous to this. I think we're going to win and take them down. And so for the regular season, we have 31 regular season games. For the regular season record, with switching, I had us either 30-1 or 29-2. Just because I picked the Notre Dame loss and then I left kind of 1 game margin. Because there's probably one we're going to slip up on. So with changing the Virginia game, I guess that makes me go at 29-2 officially, and I always give myself a 1 game kind of grace there, that it could be 28-3. And even the predictions, as you'll see that I got from Twitter, I am really, really optimistic with that schedule and with that record. ACC tournament, just because Roy doesn't put everything into it, although when he's got good teams, and sometimes he likes to just show people like, hey, I do still care about it. Maybe he'll go out and try to really win it. But with that record, we should have, a top seed to where we don't play until Thursday. So we'll only get 3 games in: Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I have us going 2-1, losing in the championship game again, just because Roy doesn't always care about that and is looking more for the NCAA tournament. So I have us going 2-1 in the ACC tournament. And then way too homerish probably, but maybe too optimistic. I don't know. Maybe I should be more superstitious, as somebody was when they sent in their Twitter prediction as well. But I have us winning the national championship, going 6-0 in the tournament. Again, maybe I'm just too homerish. This is a UNC podcast, so I guess it's okay. You guys aren't going to kill me for that. Which means our record would be, if I am right, 37-3 with the 2 regular season losses, the 1 in the ACC tournament. So 37-3 is kind of my official prediction for the season. And then 1 game, at least a 1 game grace there. We could be 36-4, unless that loss is in the NCAA tournament, of course, or even the ACC tournament before the championship game. But obviously, if we lose in the NCAA tournament before the championship game, we're not going to get that many games. But that's my prediction. I got to run with it. It's on video. It's on audio now. It's recorded. You can hold me to it. We'll come back in the postseason after we've cut down the nets and see how close I was and see how close everybody else was as well. We'll have to listen back to this podcast. But I want to kind of quickly go through people that submitted records for me or to me on Twitter. Let's see here. And I'll throw out their Twitter handles, and I'll put in their Twitter handles next to the record they gave me and how far they have us going. I believe everybody that sent in has said that we're going to win the national championship. Hopefully we're not jinxing us. Some people just did regular season records. Some people added in tournaments. You can kind of figure that out by what the record is. But first we have at @EdKing_11. Let me see here. He says regular season, he has him going 27-4 or 28-3. So he gives himself that one game grace as well. And of course says, well, he was the one that was superstitious. He said, we're going to get to the championship game. Didn't want to jinx us, so we can guess whether he has him winning it or not. Let's see who's next here. On Twitter, at UNC Graphics. Has us going 39-1 as the national champions. Didn't say who the loss was to, but 39-1. How awesome would that be? Like, especially Kentucky going 38-0 last year and then not losing it, and up 38-1. If we could go 39-1, see, like, here, it doesn't matter if you're undefeated or not. It's winning the championship and finish it off. That would be pretty sweet. So 39-1 is national champs. They call me EL at the end. Is missing some games here. His 24-4, which is only 38 games, missing a couple regular season games there, but 4 losses, and then has us winning the tournament. Wins the title. Almost read that wrong. All right, let's see who else we got here. At Devin Wood with 3 Ds at the end. Regular season record, and she was actually just tweeting this in, so I haven't asked how far we're going in the tournament. Sorry, this is not good podcasting, but I was just sending that out. But for regular season, she has us going 25-6. So besides UNC graphics, I've been the most optimistic, but he beat me there a little bit. But Devin Wood has us going 25-6, and we'll see if she responds here shortly with how far they go in the tournament. At Future Tar Heel, Anthony Pagnotta, hopefully I said that right. At Future Tar Heel says 35-5, winning the championship. Let's see here. At 2 UNC3 says 29-9 or 30-8, which is not 40 games. So I don't know if they're. Let's see. I think he does. Says we won't win the ACC tournament, but we win the national championship. So that's at 2 UNC3. At UNC, or sorry, wow, I almost said my Twitter handle, but you can follow me if you want. At It's Not Bailey says we are going to win it all with a 29-9 record. So must not think we're going to win the ACC tournament as well. All right, I don't know if I can pronounce this one right, but at Zaytoven15, at ZATOVEN15, says we're going to go 37-4 and win the national championship. Let's see here. Jeremy Hall, it's at Hall_Jeremy, says we're going to go 31-9 and win the championship by cutting down the nets. Another one I don't know if I'm going to pronounce right, but at Trigga_Trey, at TRIGGAA_TRE, says we're going to go 33-7 and win the national championship. At Jump Matt_ says we're going to go 31-7 and be national champions. At the, all right, here, let me make sure I get this right here. At the J_A_C says we're going to go 36-2 as national champions. So must not be winning the ACC tournament as well. And I believe that's all the predictions I've gotten. We can see if there's anybody else here on Blab that, okay, there's not. Give prediction, but just because you've listened to this now doesn't mean you can't send it in. I'd love to hear your predictions. Give me a record, how far we're going to go. Are we going to win the national championship or not? And yeah, definitely make sure you connect with me. I love connecting with Tar Heel fans. Follow me on Twitter if that's where you are. There is a Facebook group I've created kind of for this podcast, but I throw kind of all kinds of UNC news up there. Just search UNC Hoops Talk on Facebook and you should find the group. Again, this podcast goes up on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you listen or watch it. Would love for you to subscribe. Wow, easy for me to say. Subscribe to it and leave a review. I would love to get some reviews. It helps other people kind of discover the podcast, helps us as Tar Heel Nation to unite, which is kind of my mission for this podcast. It's not about listening to myself talk. I want to unite Tar Heel Nation. And so if you leave a review on iTunes, on Stitcher, you can let me know, but I should get a notification. I should see it as well. But just in case I don't, let me know you did. I'll go look it out. And I want to read those on the podcast, do a new little segment where I read the reviews of the podcast of kind of why people enjoy it or what they enjoy about it. So leave a review and get it read on the podcast, get a little shout out there. But yeah, follow me on Twitter. Let me know that you found me or you followed me because of the podcast or, whatever it is. So let's unite with each other. And that's kind of my goal with the post-game show. I mean, even the Periscopes at pregame or halftime, if I'm able to do those, if those kind of take off, just kind of getting engagement with you guys that listen to this and our Tar Heel fans. And then the post-game, getting your input as well, getting you here on Blab and talking and engaging with and not just listening to me is definitely a big goal of mine and would be a blast, I think. So, follow me or, connect with me wherever you are. Again, I'm on Periscope, I'm on Vine, pretty much everywhere as either Dan DeWitt or at All Tar Heel Dan is probably even easier way to find me. So I believe that's all. Let me check my notes here. I believe I hit it all. If for whatever reason, I want to throw this out kind of preseason before the season starts, because I don't like all these shameless plugs in here, but I do want to optimize if you enjoy the podcast, if you get something out of it, and you have even $1 to spend per month, that's like less. It's less than a coffee, and some people get those every day. Less than a pop these days, or a soda, depending where you're on, or a Coke, wherever you live. But go to Patreon, patreon.com/UNC Hoops Talk, and you can support the show. And all the money comes right back into the show, helps me to host the show. And I want to try to get an actual website instead of just using a blog site. But all that kind of goes back into it, helps improve the show, helps the quality. And of course, if you ever have input or anything like that, you can shoot that at me on Twitter or anywhere else, but also even email it if you want to, unchoopstalk@gmail.com. If you would like to contribute to the podcast or to the blog or anything like that, definitely hit me up. Look for, would love to have people, especially if you're a student on North Carolina's campus or close to Chapel Hill, where you can get there more often than me. Write stories, take pictures, videos, any of that stuff that we can throw up, that content on the blog and YouTube and even here on the podcast. That would be awesome. Again, connect with me. But most importantly, always to remember, go Heels.